What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jaclyn. I got cousin Owen joining me today, fellow New York Giants fan. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of good stuff, a lot of negative stuff with our team. How you feeling after that? An amazing game, but brutal loss.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough one. Um, it looked like they had it, right? I mean, it really looked like they had it. I have not discussed this with you. I have a little bit of a weird twist on that game, which I can bring up now, or we can bring up
Yeah,
later.
go for it.
So this is what was crazy for me. So, and I think I actually mentioned this briefly, maybe in the last podcast or two podcasts ago that we did. I do every year a Survivor pool. A couple seasons ago, I made it to week 16 or 17. I was final seven of 1,000. Yeah, I don't know if I went that in depth when we talked about it, but I was final seven of 1,000. Winner gets about $100,000. So I really thought I was going to win it. And yep, I lost right at the end. It was devastating. It was heartbreaking. I wanted to kick over my TV. Um, yeah, being that close, that much money. Listen, me and you, Jaclyn, we're both young people. So, I mean, for anyone in the world, I don't care how old or rich you are, $100,000, $100,000, right?
A lot of
So,
money.
but you could imagine it would have been nice. It would have done good things for my life. Regardless, it wasn't meant to be. I lost. Um, I advanced last week in Survivor. I think I mentioned I took the Bengals. I got lucky. I was going to take the Lions this week. We had a little bit of disagreement with the Lions going into
Mm-hmm.
week two, and I think I was completely right on them. They destroyed the Bears. I also feel a little bit vindicated about the Vikings coming third in that division. They looked horrendous.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't think it's out of the question they come fourth in that division now. I know you put them, I think, second in that
I
division, right?
did. I
Yeah.
did.
So I don't even think it's out of the question they come last in that division. They're not going to be good. And the Lions will come first or second, like I'd said. But anyways, just to not to ramble on too much, I was supposed to take the Lions this week in Survivor. About 30 minutes before the game started, I was just at work. I was working this Sunday, and I said, you know what? This makes me really upset, but Survivor is not about emotions. You have to take all the emotion out of it. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, and you can imagine, Jaclyn, like, I hate the Cowboys. They're my most hated team in sports, right up there with the Leafs and Bruins. I hate everything about the cow. I like to call them the cowgirls,
Yeah.
Cowboys, cowgirls, whatever you want to call them. I can't stand them. But I got to tell you, I've never had weirder emotions than seeing my favorite player on the team get a 50-yard touchdown with 25 seconds left and being like, am I happy? Am I devastated? Yeah, it was an emotional.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a weird. It was hard to explain because I obviously love the Giants with my whole being. I hate the Cowboys with my whole being, and yet our favorite player, our best player, gets a 50-yard touchdown, a miracle touchdown with 25 seconds left, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like half devastated, half like this is awesome, if that makes sense.
That is insane, man. But I get it because I'm in a pool. Not well, I'm in Survivor as well, but not I don't bet against the Giants, but I am in a pool as well where we bet on spreads, and I never want to bet against the Giants. I shared with my dad though, so he kind of gets final say sometimes. So if he ever goes with a team against the Giants, I'm like, go for it, man. I'm cheering for the Giants no matter what. That is some crazy stuff. I'm sure you're I cannot even imagine the emotions you felt as the kind of Giants fan you are and the hatred you have for the Dallas Cowboys that you and I share. But to be in the survivor pool, man, is absurd to go with them.
So what's so twisted about it too, Jacqueline, is I mean, so I almost lost my train of thought there for a second. But what's so twisted is, like you said, I've never bet against the Giants. So I've done Survivor for many years now. I want to say 10 years. I don't know, many years. I've never actually picked against the Giants. It's the first time picking against them. I did it. I did it very last minute at 12:30. I switched from the Lions to the Giants. I actually ended up switching off the Lions because in week four they're home to the Browns. So I figure I want to save them for week
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
I would have had a sweat-free game if I took the Lions because they trampled the Bears. But what's so twisted, and maybe it's karma, is the Giants have not been good the last few seasons. There's many times you could have taken their opponents and had sweat-free because they got blown out of the water. Even last week against the Commanders, relatively sweat-free.
Yeah.
If the Giants just trounced the Cowboys, let's say the Cowboys just played horrible this game, right? They just didn't show up. Dak was terrible. Defense was terrible. The Giants win by a lot. I'd go, you know what? Sucks I lost in Survivor, but heck yeah, man. Our Giants are back, man. We beat the Cowboys. This is fantastic. If the Cowboys destroyed the Giants, I would say, this really sucks. We lose to the Cowboys again for the ninth straight time. We can't beat them. They hold over us. This really sucks. but at least I win my Survivor with no sweat. Okay,
It
move on
was
to
a
week three. They put me in the torture chamber, the Giants, because they decided to have, I mean, offensively, a fantastic game. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, not only is this my favorite team, a team I love, but now I'm like tortured because I don't know like what to, you know what I mean? Like it was
You don't
almost
know
like
what to
karma.
do, man.
Right.
Yeah, it was
It was
karma. That
karma.
was karma for going with the Cowboys, putting you through torture with this giant,
Yes.
absolutely
Yes.
lighting it up, man. Like Russell Wilson has never thrown this many yards in a game. And he's what, 36 years old? This is a former Super Bowl champion Pro Bowler. And he went what, 31 for 4 or for 31 for 43 touchdowns. Like dude was unreal. 450 passing yards, Owen. Russell Wilson, 450 passing yards. He turned it to 2013. Better than 2013.
He looked like the Russell Wilson that, went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. He looked like the Russell Super Bowl that's a Super Bowl champion. He looked fantastic. The biggest thing is he was amazing, and I know me and you've debated him a lot, and we've had a little bit of differing views. I think he had one horrific game in week one. He had an amazing game in week two. But ultimately, Jaclyn, and I think you'll agree with me, the best players in the world, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, they show up when the moment is the brightest, right? So if you show up for most of the game, yeah, that's great. We want a quarterback who's there and present and playing well. But in the biggest moment is where you need your guys when there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, or when it's overtime, or when you're down 28-3 in the Super Bowl. And what does Russell Wilson do? He throws one of the worst balls I've seen in my life. So as much as he was amazing, 400 plus yards, throwing touchdowns left, right, and center to Malik Neighbors, he looked fantastic. When the moment was super bright with 3 minutes left in overtime, he threw. I don't know how to describe it. It's like if I was playing quarterback, the ball
It
he
was
threw.
bad.
It was horrific.
It was bad stuff, but you know what? Defense just absolutely fell apart. Our defensive coordinator, I don't know what he's thinking here because we have some great weapons on our D, and yet letting the Cowboys, finish the game with 40 points. So it was just absurd stuff, man. Like, but also the fact that Russell Wilson made arguably the nicest throw I've ever seen a New York Giants quarterback make in 10 years with 25 seconds left to go. That should have been what sealed it, right? Malik
I
Neighbors got pulled on the face mask and made that catch, but the fact that the Giants let the Cowboys go down the field and make that field goal is really what lost them the game.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I mean, that ball he throws with 25 seconds on a face mask, where his face is covered and it's a face mask. It's one of the best balls I've ever seen a Giants quarterback make. It almost reminds me, very different situation, very different throw. But Mario Manningham, I believe, in the 2011 Super Bowl, the
Yeah.
tightrope. It's a very different ball. That's on the sideline. This is down the middle.
Sideline, yeah.
But it's just like in terms of just a beautiful thrown ball from a Giants quarterback. I mean, it was right in the bucket, in the end zone. It was gorgeous. It was like any, a Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers-esque throw. It was fantastic. Unfortunately, I mean, I think you know this, Jaclyn. I think even the audience probably knows about me. I'm a very passionate guy. So I'm the type of Giants fan or even the type of sports fan where if my team hits a walk-off or hits, a touchdown basically to steal the game or a big goal, whatever it is, I'm screaming. I'm like swearing. I'm screaming. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So normally even though I was at work, I probably still would have freaked out and screaming and let's go. We torched them. The Cowboys are dead. Instead, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, normally I'd be so happy, but I'm almost upset right now.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
and then the Cowboys hit a miracle field goal, with second like at the end of the game, 64 yards, and I'm like relieved. I'm like, I
You
don't
had like
know.
a smirk on your face for
I had a
that.
smirk
Yeah.
on my face. I'm like, what's going on right now? I never want to feel like this again because it wasn't just that I bet against the Giants; it was that I had to stomach it being the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, that's some brutal stuff, man. I don't know why you would do that to yourself as a football fan and viewer. That is some crazy stuff. But listen, you got to do what you got to do to win this. You want to win your pool, but yeah, man, unreal game of the year. I know we were talking about that Ravens Bills game. I think this game wins that for game of the year. Just absolutely unreal stuff from both the Cowboys and the Giants. And like I was saying to my dad during this game, I'm like, the Giants are back. We're back because we were going to win this game with 25 seconds left. So I was like, we're back. This team is different. I'm still excited for what we're going to see in week 3 against the Chiefs, who are also 0-2. That is some crazy stuff, man. They lost to the Chargers in week 1, and then they lost to the Chiefs and to the Eagles in week 2. What is going on with the Chiefs? Is Travis Kelce just done? Because that interception late in the game was kind of on Kelce.
I mean, you know what? I only saw about the fourth quarter in that game. Like I said, I was working on
Yeah.
Sunday and I got home for about the fourth quarter. Um, Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously tough schedule, right? I mean, the Chargers are decent, but obviously the Eagles are the defending champions and they're still fantastic. So I don't know how much we could take. I don't think we're done. I mean, we're done. Sorry. The Giants might be done. Sorry. I don't know if the Chiefs, we're definitely not the Chiefs. I ain't no Chiefs fan.
No, no.
Um, I don't think the Chiefs are done, is what I was going to say. I mean, we heard many times throughout the Patriots dynasty where the Patriots start off 1-1, 0-2, 1-3, whatever it is, and end up making the playoffs and going on a deep run. I think it's the same thing with the Chiefs. They do have a very, very, very hard schedule. I was actually looking at it after this game, and they have a tremendously hard schedule. But I think they'll get it together. I do think they will make the playoffs and they'll be fine. In terms of Travis Kelce specifically, we've seen the last few years he's regular season been very meh. In the playoffs, he's had some great moments. So kind of feel like he'll probably be the same. He'll have his ups and downs in the regular season.
Mm,
If they do make the playoffs, which I expect they still will, I think he will be fine. I just don't know how much we take from it, right? It's the
yeah,
beginning of the season. Again, the Chargers, they're not great, but they're not awful. And then the Eagles are maybe the best team in the league. Um, so I don't think they're finished quite yet. And I
mm,
and I think we see it a lot. You count a team out like that. You count out a guy like Patrick Mahomes, and he wants to prove you wrong 10 times harder.
it's true. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think we'll see, right? I think there's a lot of football left to be played, and we'll kind of see what happens there.
yeah. Last year, the Chiefs were not that great of a team. They were winning games that they should not have won. They were kind of a lucky team. And then they, go to the Super Bowl. They get torched in the Super Bowl, but they were still a Super Bowl team last year. So yeah, you can't count them out. Even if the Giants somehow beat them in Week 3, which would be the biggest shock of the year, I think. You can't count them out. But speaking of another shock, we got to talk about Daniel Jones, man. Daniel Jones right now is probably the MVP of the NFL. If the season ends today, Daniel Jones is your MVP.
I
What is going on, man?
so I'm gonna say I respectfully disagree. I think that'd be Josh Allen. Respectfully, I think that's Josh Allen because of
Josh
what he did
Allen
in week
didn't do
one.
anything this week, though.
Did he have to? His team destroyed, and look what he did in week one.
He had like 100 something passing yards, no
Right, but
touchdowns.
hold on though. What does that remind you of? Doesn't that remind you of a guy named Tom Brady who used to run the ball at will and he'd have maybe one or zero touchdowns? We've seen Brady do that a lot. I mean, I can think of games where they ran the ball 30, 40 times. Brady maybe had one touchdown.
Yeah,
If you can win a game by 10, 20 points, stay healthy, you know what I mean? Like, you might be right.
yeah,
Listen, Jones is up there. He's one of the top three guys. I'm not saying he's hasn't been great.
yeah.
I'm just saying there's other arguments to be made. But yes, Daniel Jones, he's been fantastic. The Broncos, like we discussed, I actually asked you questions about the Broncos. You remember last week, right? I was asking if you think they're the real deal, possibly fraudulent. Who knows? It's still very early. They're 1-1. But yeah, Jones looks good, right? This is a Colts team that I think there's a lot of question marks. I don't think they're a great team by any means, but Daniel Jones has looked really, really good. Um, Again, it's super early on, but man, it looks like he's thriving out in Indianapolis. Um, I'm happy for him. Look, he had his struggles here. We saw him in the playoffs. We saw him struggle. We kind of saw, the good, bad, and the ugly with Daniel Jones. And ultimately, I have a lot of respect for him. I like him quite a bit. I would love, if they can be successful, maybe make the playoffs and see him do great things. Personally, I have nothing against the guy. So I hope he does well, right? I hope we see him have success and lead that team to maybe do something this year.
Yeah, part of me is very bitter, I must say, watching him just thrive. But it's also because he has a great O line, and that's just what he didn't have here. So no matter who is on our team, it's gonna be a hard task to get
Yeah.
it done with the O line that we have and just the team that we have in the system. So
Sure.
like I was saying last week about JJ McCarthy and Brock Purdy, some of these guys are system quarterbacks and they only work in a good system. And I think that could be Daniel Jones, is that the Giant system just wasn't for him and maybe the Colt system is, or he's a 2 week, wonder, one hit wonder for the first 2 weeks and then he kind of goes back to his old ways. But listen, man, the two quarterbacks with the most passing yards in the NFL right now are Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson. So I don't know what world we are living in right now where these guys are just lighting it up. Former Giants quarterback and current Giants quarterback. It's some crazy stuff, man. But yes, as you said, I would love to see Daniel Jones have some success. Not too much, obviously, because we got our we got
Yeah.
our own team to
Yeah.
cheer for there. But yeah, man, it's very exciting stuff, and yeah, I wish him success. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff in this past week, and a lot of surprises with different teams, and I think my biggest takeaway is that I think the Chargers are very legit. I think week one, I knew that they were really good against the Chiefs, but after seeing last night's game, which ended too late, I'm not into the 10 o'clock games whatsoever. But Justin Herbert looked his very best. And I'm not saying the Raiders are a great team, but Herbert looked fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers again. I only saw parts of that game too. It ended very late, so I saw
Yeah.
bits and pieces of that game. Yeah, listen, I think they look good. The defense fully shut down the Raiders and pretty much shut down the Chiefs. So I think their defense has been a spot for them that's been great. And we know Herbert is a good quarterback. I think a lot of the questions to me is how good is he, right? Like, is he actually in that top five, top 10? Is he just the top 15 quarterback? Like, how good is Herbert? I think we'll have some of those answers by the end of this season. Again, it's still really early, right? So I think, we have to sort of see how things play out. But yeah, I think they're a team with potential, right? I mean, they might see some blood in the water with the Chiefs starting off 0-2. So it's exciting. I think also the one exciting thing about the NFL is it changes so much from year to year. You really don't know, especially from the start of the season to the end of the season, how something's, going to evolve. I know the ironic thing of that is we saw a team make the Super Bowl 3 straight years. So some people might be saying that, being like, what are you talking about? The same team
Yeah.
made the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. But I still do think there is parity, and I really do think things change from year to year. Um, yeah, I'm honestly just excited the NFL's back. It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a very
and
fun time, man. Yeah. It's
yeah.
uh it's a very exciting time, and one thing I want to mention too, because I know you have to run soon, but Joe Burrow was out for about 3 months, I believe, with turf toe. What do you see the Bengals doing here? Are they gonna go sign a big name? Because there's some guys that Kirk Cousins they could trade for. They could trade for Jameis Winston. Are they gonna go with their backup? What do you think the Bengals are gonna do here?
Yeah, they're in a tough spot, and I think and maybe we mentioned this in another podcast. Like Joe Burrow just gets hurt. Like this is not the first time he's had a lot of struggles with injuries. I think a big thing about a quarterback is can you stay healthy? Like you're gonna take shots, you're gonna somebody's gonna scramble, get hit weirdly, awkwardly. Like when you're a guy like Tua or a Joe, it's like as good as you can be. And don't get me wrong, Joe Burrow is way better than Tua. Turn the ball over. But a big part is like staying on the field. So I don't really know what they do. I'm not even gonna act like I do know. Like, do they roll with their backup? Which I don't even know much about their backup. Do they have to go trade or try to sign someone? I don't really know what the answer is for them. I think they're in trouble. I mean, they're 2-0, which is great, but they're clearly a flawed team. As I think, even with a perfectly healthy Joe Burrow, they're a flawed team. They're a 2-0 team, yes, but still a flawed team. I don't think there's anyone who goes, oh, they're 2-0 and they're as good as the Eagles. Because in a in not a perfect world, but in the world right now, they have the same record as the Eagles. You look at the
Yeah.
standings; they're in the same place. The Eagles. No one's mistaking them for being the Philadelphia Eagles. There's not one analyst, one person, not one casual who thinks those two teams are equal in any way, right? From the way the games even went to just talent to coaching to everything. So I think they're a really flawed team, and I think, yeah, I mean, if Joe Burrow's out for 3 months, like we believe he is with turf toe, or is that what they're calling it, turf toe?
Believe so. I believe
Yeah.
so.
I don't see them making the playoffs, right? I just don't see them being a
Yeah.
playoff team. Um, yeah, if you're a Bengals fan, you got to be really, really concerned. But I also think, Jaclyn, the deeper thing is like maybe that means Burrow comes back at the end of the year. Maybe he comes back for playoffs if they somehow can make playoffs. I think that actually the greater concern, if you're a Bengals fan, is like can our quarterback, our franchise quarterback, one of the top five talents in this league, stay on the field? It's getting to the point where it's like, how many times is it going to be rinse, repeat? New season, injury, out. Like,
He's won comeback player of the year twice, and he could win it a third time next year.
yeah, but that's concerning, right? That's an award you don't really want to keep winning. If you win that award once, that's fine. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's a matter of his routine is not good. I don't know if it's his off season. Like to me, I'd imagine it's Joe Burrow. I'd assume he has the best people in the world around him, right? He has great treatment. I'd assume he eats right. So I don't know if is it him? Is it bad luck? I'm not quite sure what the issue is here, but I think if you're a Bengals fan, it's deeply, deeply concerning, not just for this year, but for future seasons. Like, do you maybe need a new quarterback? I know that sounds insane because you have a young guy who's in his 20s who is a top, like on any given Sunday, Joe Burrow could be the best quarterback in the league, but in general, he's top five. But if he just keeps getting hurt, maybe you have to start thinking if you're, in management or a coach, like, hey, do we have to take another quarterback in the draft next year?
Yeah, there's a lot of concerns that he could be a Andrew Luck-esque kind of player where all the talent is there, all the success is possible, but injuries just play a factor every single year. So there are a lot of concerns. I would honestly love to see them sign a quarterback or trade for a quarterback because there are some guys that need a home and that would love to play somewhere. Honestly, the Giants could definitely trade for Winston. And I don't. I think I'd be fine with that too. But they got to make a good trade there because Jameis Winston and Jamar Chase could do numbers. As much as I love Winston on our team, there's not a spot for him because it's Russell Wilson and then it's Jackson Dart and then
Mhm.
it's Jameis Winston. So I think we can make a good trade for him possibly, but I definitely see them making a trade for a quarterback because 3 months is a lot of time in football. The season is very short, so they're definitely going to look for a guy that can win them games. Not necessarily can be in the playoffs for them, but Burrow will be back shortly. So
Yeah. It's really interesting to say that, Jaclyn. Like Jameis Winston, we know he's a ball slinger, right? He can get the ball out there. He has a big arm, so it's an interesting thought. Like the Giants clearly don't really need Jameis Winston. He's a veteran guy. I'd actually be happy to kind of see him go somewhere where he can start and maybe have some success. So you might be right there. You might be onto something like that. That could make a lot of sense for both the Giants and the Bengals.
mhm.
I wouldn't have thought of that, but you make a really good point. I did want to transition with you very quickly
Yeah,
to the
go for it.
Giants again, and highlight a couple of things. I want to first get your thoughts on putting in Dart for a few, call it trick plays. The commentators were mentioning it. I thought it was sort of interesting. I don't necessarily think it's a great thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. It was a bit of a change up. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about it. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on them sprinkling in
Yeah,
Dart.
I found it early to be making those decisions and what Dart did, he either handed off the ball or he fell. We saw that. I feel like it's a little bit early to be making those trick plays kind of thing with Dart. I think you want to wait a couple weeks, maybe until week 4 or 5, to kind of put him in there, do a little bit of trick plays, confuse the team a little bit, think is he going to throw the ball or whatnot. I didn't love, so yeah, I would say I didn't love seeing him in week 2 against the Cowboys. I do love that he's the one who handed Cam Scattaboo that ball, which he ran for a ton of yards, which was really cool. But I don't think there's a need to put Dart in. Let him continue watching, let him continue staying on the sideline, and put him in a couple weeks when you can actually do something with him other than just
Sure.
hand off the ball.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. So I think we're on the same page. I thought it was a bit bizarre and maybe not necessary and maybe a little bit early. There were three players I did want to highlight, Jaclyn, just to discuss and maybe even for people to maybe learn a little bit about. There's three guys in the Giants I think have been exceptional, and I just really wanted to give them quick shout outs. I think first, and you've talked a lot about him, Cam Scattaboo.
My
Just
boy.
simply phenomenal. The guy is a truck. He's like a new style Brandon Jacobs, who is like also a truck. Super Bowl champion Brandon Jacobs. And I believe Brandon Jacobs has been on the Keep It Kula podcast. So
Yep,
shout out
yep.
to Mr. Brandon Jacobs, one of my all-time favorite Giants. Cam Scattaboo's been phenomenal. He looked great. He does everything well. It seems like Dable loves him and the coaching staff loves him from what they've been saying. So I think Cam Scattaboo has to be my first shout out of someone who's kind of surprised me in a lot of ways, and he's been fantastic. And I think a bright future with him. It's super exciting. The second guy I have to shout out, and I'm sure you've been loving, is Brian Burns. Brian Burns has been a nightmare on that D line.
Beast.
We knew Brian Burns was great. I didn't know he was at this level. I mean, he could end up being one of the defensive players of the year if he keeps this up. He has been phenomenal. I don't know how many sacks it is now, but I believe it's like 3 or 4. I could be wrong on that, but I know he has a few sacks. He's been just and a ton of pressure on the quarterback. He's been unbelievable, Brian Burns. Like a true nightmare for quarterback. So I think that's something that's really exciting. And the last shout out, it's super obvious, but I think it's at the point where we can say we have a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Can he be a little bit of a diva? Yes. And we've had a diva in the past who's also one of the best receivers in Odell Beckham. But Malik Neighbors, he is a nightmare to deal with. It doesn't matter if you double him or what you do. He had, I believe, 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. You can check that out. But I want to say it was like 170 and 2 touchdowns or somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah,
He,
167 yards, 2 touchdowns
I
on
mean,
9 catches, man.
he absolutely balled out, and he had that huge 50-yard touchdown at the end of the game. those are the three guys I really wanted to shout out. But yeah, Malik Neighbors, I mean, he's in his 20s. He's super young. He's in his second year. I can't say enough good things about him. We have an elite wide receiver. If you told me, Jaclyn, that he's the best receiver in the league, I would not put up a fight. I know there's Amon St. Brown. I know there's Jamar Chase. But I got to say, what this guy is doing is special. He is by far and away our best receiver. And the reason that's relevant is you have some teams where they have two or three threats, which takes the pressure off the top guy. It is Malik's, Malik is our receiver. I don't think there's anyone, no offense to our Giants, who's close to him. So it's not like the defenses are confused on where the ball is trying to go.
No, they're double teaming him.
And he still balls out for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Top 3 receiver in the NFL, and the future is bright for him.
Yes, and the three guys you just mentioned are some powerhouses. Obviously, Malik gets a lot of love, but Cam Scadaboo, I said right when he was drafted, we were on the air, I think, right?
Yep.
Like at that moment or so. Cam Scadaboo, I think, is going to be a real threat. He has to stay healthy, though, because he literally just puts his whole body out there and does not care. He puts his head down. So it's a little scary at times to watch him, but as long as he's keeping healthy, he can be a real threat to this team. And yeah, Burns, man. I think going into the season, we thought the 2 games we'd say Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau are our top guys, Dexter Lawrence, but Brian Burns has been our savior on our D, on a very wonky team and a lot of issues still. Even though I think we have a great D, we still allowed 40 points. But Brian Burns is definitely a light on this team. And then yeah, Malik Neighbors is just. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL. I think he's better than Chase. I think he's better than St. Brown. I think he's better than Jefferson. I think he's better than all these guys. Neighbors is a true talent. LSU boys, the Giants love their LSU boys, or just the NFL in general. The best receivers in the NFL are from LSU. They know what they're doing there, man. And I think Malik Neighbors can go down as the greatest receiver in NFL Giants history.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think especially if he's here for a long time, I think he will go down as one of the greatest Giants receivers ever. It's super exciting kind of having our new Odell. It's super exciting. I hope he can keep those emotions in check, because we've kind of seen he's gotten upset at times. I get it. He's a passionate guy, so it's not an issue, at least not yet. To go back to our D-line, you just mentioned a few guys, right? Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, Sexy Dexy, Brian Burns. I mean, that's absurd. Like, if you look at that O-line, just the 4 guys you said, that's crazy to me. Now, we're still 0-2. Dak Prescott still balled out. He still looked like he had a lot of space and time. So there's obviously a little bit, I think, of growth needed in some of those guys. But if you look at those 4 players objectively, I mean, our defensive line is stacked. I know, like I said, we're 0-2, and it felt like, Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott had a lot of time in the pocket. But if those 4 guys and the rest of our D-line can get going, I mean, I think we have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. Maybe the best. Maybe I'm overhyping a little bit. I'm a Giants fan. I'm excited. But at the very least, that defensive line has potential to wreak havoc. Like, that's a type of defensive line that if it has a full, complete game, it could have 4, 5, 6 sacks in a game. I don't think I'm crazy saying that, right? That is some serious carnage there.
I'm going to agree with you on that, man. Like, just some special talent. The Giants, they have a lot of pieces this year. They look their best that they have, like in this past game, they look the best that they have in years. So what can they do with this? I don't know. They got to fix stuff. Our DC needs to fix stuff. A lot of things that they need to fix. But it's exciting. I actually had a fun time watching the Giants in a long time. Like, I actually felt happy watching the offense on the field for the first time in several years. So very exciting stuff, man. I know you got to go soon, but before we wrap it up, I got to just give a huge shout out to the Blue Jays last night and Trey Yesavage. The Blue Jays called up their 2024 first round pick, pitcher Trey Yesavage, for last night's game as a starter. A big shock to everyone. We didn't think we would see him at all this year, and if we did, he'd be a reliever, but they brought him in as a starter, and he had the greatest debut as a pitcher in Blue Jays history. He went 5 innings, only 3 hits, 1 run with 9 strikeouts. Amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff. His whole family was there in Tampa. The Jays won in extra innings 2-1. It was a weird game, but Trey Yesavage, man, is the real deal, and he's only 22. So exciting stuff for the Jays. Speaking of the Jays, are you getting a tattoo if they win the World Series, or are we sticking with shaving the head?
there's a part of me that's like maybe I'd be willing to do this small tattoo. I still don't know. It's been about a week since our last podcast. I don't know if I'm willing to commit to say for sure tattoo. Like I said, I'll let you be the one to shave my head. We can do it on air if that makes sense, if we can kind of logistically figure that out.
Uh,
I'm open to possibly a small tattoo. It's one or the other. I'm a man of my word, so either it's a small tattoo or shaving my head. I don't believe I'm enough to do it. I don't want to be a hater. I like the Jays. I've been a Jays fan basically my whole life. Just don't see this team getting it done. They will obviously, or I don't want to say obviously, but they should make the playoffs. They look very good. They've really since the sort of, they started off the year a little bit rough and kind of 500, not great, but basically since they caught fire at that stretch, they've just been a fantastic team. So look, I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope I eat my
oh
words.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, I don't necessarily see it happening. I did want to say, Jaclyn, if you want, I have a few minutes. We could go over our picks again for this week.
Yeah, sure. I would
Got a
love
few
to.
minutes?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we go
yeah.
over some
We
because I
can.
enjoyed doing that last week. I think we both did pretty decent. I can't
Yeah,
remember exactly, but
yeah.
it was fun. I'd be happy to kind of make some picks again. That'd be
Sweet. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We can kind of do like a quick fire kind of thing,
yeah, yeah.
rapid fire. So Thursday night we got Dolphins Bills. I would love to just cancel this game for Thursday night because we don't want to see the Dolphins on prime time. But I'm obviously going Bills. It's minus 12 and a half, and honestly, I think the Bills can win this by 30 points.
Yeah, so kind of like we said it a few times last week, Bills by a million. Bills also a good spot for people in Survivor. I might even myself consider the Bills. Now, obviously, you might want to save them for future weeks, but if you want to get a sweat-free Thursday nights, you get it over with, get your Survivor pick over with, that's a great spot. They're 13-point favorites, and they should win by a million. So, yeah, the Bills for sure in this one.
Definitely. We got Colts Titans. I think the Colts are going to continue staying hot. I think that they're going to win by, I think it could be a field goal game. I think the Titans are going to figure them out. Division game as well, I believe.
Sure.
So I'm going to go Colts.
And this is at
You know,
Tennessee.
in Tennessee, yeah.
And do you know the spread by any chance, or?
It says minus 3.5 Colts right now.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say that the Titans finally get it going. Cam Ward, they get it
Mhm.
going. I'm going to say that Jones maybe doesn't have his best game, on the road. I'm going to actually go with the Titans on this one. I'm going to say Cam Ward shows up. I'm going to say the Titans win by 2 or 3 points. I'm going to go with the dog here.
All
Yeah.
right, all right. Next, we got Steelers Patriots. The Patriots looked good, I guess you would say, but they were also against the Dolphins. Steelers did not look good this past week, but I think they're going to figure it out. I think I'm going to go Steelers over Patriots. I think Aaron Rodgers has played the Patriots many times in
Yeah.
his career. I know it's a different team than it once
Yeah.
was, but I'm going to go Steelers.
I believe the Steelers are on the road for this one.
Yep.
I'm going to go Steelers as well. I think Rodgers will have a good game. I don't think the Patriots are great by any means. Um, Yeah, I mean the Patriots. I think they're fortunate. They're 1-1, I believe, and they're not a very good team. So I'm gonna go Steelers. I'm gonna go Steelers. Take the road win. I think Aaron Rodgers will find a way in this one.
Yeah. Next, we got Jets at Buccaneers. Uh, Justin Fields left was ruled as a concussion in the last game. Not sure if we're going to see him or not in this game. However, I still think the Buccaneers are going to continue winning. They won last night by 1 point. They won last week by, I believe, 2 or 3 points. They're winning these tight games. They're finding ways to win. The spread right now is net minus 7.5 for the Bucks. I think it's going to end up being close again, but I think the Buccaneers are going to once again win and continue going 3-0.
Yeah, and just to mention, Jack, what an exciting game that was. They walked it off. They
Yeah.
they they walked it off with like it was like a all or nothing on the goal line. I also will say, I mean, just to quickly say, um, horrendous coaching by the Buccaneers. You'll know what I'm talking about in a second, where they let the clock run. I'm not sure. Like, I don't really think we're not talking about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, right? Like it's I know Stroud's a good quarterback, but you're concerned that he's going to get a touchdown with 15 seconds or get a feel like it didn't make sense. That was horrendous, a horrendous. I know it worked out and they won the game in the end, but to let the clock run there and not take you have two timeouts left. I have no idea what they were doing there. I think that's worth noting that was like really really weird and bad coaching. It worked out in the end. I actually like Baker Mayfield. I think he's an exciting quarterback. He
My
slings the ball
fantasy
up.
quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good fantasy guy for sure because he throws, and he likes to sling the ball. So he's a good person. Last year he had what 40 touchdowns, I
Yeah,
believe.
he was balling out
Um,
last year. Yeah.
anyways, I'll go Bucks, and I actually totally agree. I go Bucks by maybe 2 or 3,
Yeah.
closer than the spread says.
Tie one again. Next, we got Raiders Commanders. I think both teams are bad. I think the Commanders we really saw this past week is that they're bad. They're not a good team. And the Raiders also looked terrible last night. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a bit of an ugly game. I think it's going to be one of those field goal games. Spread right now is Commanders -3.5. They are the home team. I'm going to go Commanders winning it, but I'm going to say it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, so part of us is on the same page, part of different. I disagree. I think the Commanders are a good football team. I think we'll see they'll make the playoffs again. I think they'll come second in the division. So I don't necessarily agree on your analysis. I think they are a solid team. I think, yeah, they didn't look great this last week for sure, but I think they will end up being second in the division, making the playoffs. I think they'll be a pretty good team, and I actually think they'll win by maybe 7 or 10 points.
Wow.
Happy to discuss this maybe further on a future podcast. We don't have a ton of time, but I disagree with you. I think they're a good team, and I think they win by maybe 7 or 10. The Commanders.
All right, all right. Next we have Rams at Eagles. I think that is going to be a great game because the Rams are sneaky good.
Yeah,
Puka Nakua is looking fantastic right now. I think
yeah,
the Rams are looking pretty great. I think this is going to be a tight game. Honestly kind of think the Rams are going to find a way to win this game against the Eagles. I think the New York Giant fan of me is talking a little bit too much
sure.
about that. But I think it's going to be a great game and I can go either way. But I am just going to say Rams, but I think the Eagles are probably a safer choice.
I like it. I like it. I like that you're taking the dog. It's always exciting. I'm going to go on the other end. We've been on opposite ends a few times
Yeah,
here.
yeah, love it.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. Best team in the league. They've shown it the first 2 weeks. Although they weren't so great against the Cowboys, but I mean, they showed it against the Chiefs. They're 2-0. I think they're still fantastic. They still got that Philly special, the QB sneak, or the tush push, brotherly love, whatever you want to call that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I think they'll go 3-0. I think it should be a good game. The Rams look like an exciting team. I'll take the Eagles in a close game.
All right, next we have Falcons Panthers. I don't really like either teams to be
Yeah,
honest with you. I think the Falcons are going to win it though. I think they are just a much better team.
yeah,
The Panthers are the home team, but I'm going to go Falcons on this one, winning 7.
yeah. I believe this last week the Panthers and Cardinals faced, and the Cardinals won. I think 27-22.
Yeah,
If
Panthers
if
almost came back.
if you saw the end of the game, they recovered the onside kick, and then the Cardinals. So the Panthers
Mhm.
recovered an onside kick right at the end of the game, and the Cardinals committed a bunch of penalties.
Yeah.
Even with the bunch of they pretty much what happened was that there was a strip sack fumble that the Cardinals recovered, but it was negated by a penalty on the defense. Even with all the penalties the Cardinals took, the Panthers still couldn't do anything offensively. It kind of showed me exactly what I need to know about the team. Their offense is not very good. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are great either, but I will go with the Falcons in this one.
Yeah, I think Bijan Robinson is fantastic, and I think he can have a monster game against this
Yeah,
team. But yeah, it should be exciting. Next, we have, I do not want to watch this game. Bengals, Vikings. Both quarterbacks are out. We're going to be
yeah,
seeing Carson Wentz on the Vikings, former
yeah,
Super Bowl champion,
yeah.
um, against whoever they have on the Bengals. Honestly, honest. I don't know because we got Jamar Chase, we got Justin Jefferson. We have two deep. You know what? The Vikings do have a better defense than the Bengals do. Maybe I'm gonna go Vikings, and also Carson Wentz can kind of light it up
Sure.
sometimes. And I'm not so sure the Bengals are gonna be having a quarterback, but I am gonna go Vikings in a very tight and ugly game.
Who's home and what's the spread, if you don't mind me asking?
Vikings are home, and right now -2.5.
Yeah, so we're on opposite sides a lot today. I am definitely going Bengals. And my analysis last week, and we have the clips, I'm sure, from the podcast, was I'm taking the Falcons, and my reason was basically screw it. I want to spite Leanne. This is not a spite pick. I actually just think the Bengals are probably the better team. Both are missing quarterbacks, a bit of an ugly game.
Yeah,
Like I said, I think the Vikings were exposed as frauds. I don't think they're good. I think they're going to come third or fourth in that division.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bengals, probably a close one. But yeah, I'll go Bengals on this one. But yeah, kind of an ugly game, and then we'll see what happens with
yeah.
that one.
Next we have Texans at Jaguars. The spread is -1.5 Jaguars. You know what? The Jaguars I think are sneaky good. I know they lost that one with the Bengals. They really should have won that game, or at least, we thought we were. Texans, I don't really know what's going on with them. I think CJ Stroud is kind of a fraud quarterback, as I said, I think last week. This game could go either way. I'm gonna go Jaguars though. I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna figure it out this season, and I think this game is gonna be the game to figure it out.
Sure. Yeah, I think the Jags can end up being a decent team this year. Again, it's really early on. But I think they might be competitive. But again, we're gonna be on opposite sides for I don't know what is the fourth or fifth time
Wow.
now. Yeah, I think ultimately, and my reason for this is pretty simple. I think they're going to be the more desperate team, the Texans. They lost a heartbreaking game this week, or I should say last night, to the Buccaneers. I think they're going to be desperate. I think if you start off 0-3, you really aren't in a good spot. I think C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback. I'm gonna go Texans on this one, and I think they'll win by maybe 4 to 7 points.
Okay. Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
Next. Okay. This one's easy pick for me. Packers at Browns. Packers by a million.
Yeah. I mean they're on the road. But yeah, I think Packers win. I don't know if I feel like a million. I could see them winning by 10, which is
Yeah.
a win's a win, and 10 points is more than enough. So I'll go Packers by, I'll say, about 10.
All right, next we got Broncos at Chargers, which I think could be a really good game. 4 o'clock game at Chargers, -2.5 spread. I think the Broncos are gonna figure it out this game. I know we're not so sure where they are, the
Sure.
Broncos. I know I've been a little bit hotter on them than you have. I think the Broncos are gonna figure this out in a tight game, high scoring game, but the Broncos are gonna win it on a last minute field goal.
Sure. And the Chargers are at home, and,
Yeah,
and you said favored by 2.5?
yeah.
So the Broncos are the dog. Huh, that's an interesting one. It's one in my brain where I'm kind of going back and forth a little bit and unsure what to do. Just to continue the trend, I'll go on the opposite side of you. I'll take the Chargers. They're the home team. They look good. Unsure. Like I said, I have question marks about the Broncos and this team's identity, so we'll go with the Chargers. I think also a very close game. I could see it being 1 or 2 points.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll say, you know what, Chargers by a field goal at the end as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, fair. Next we have Saints at Seahawks, -7.5 spread for the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are gonna win it, but I think the Saints are gonna keep it interesting. That's what I'm gonna say.
Don't have much more to add on. I think you laid it out perfectly. Quick, easy analysis. I think the Seahawks win, and I think hopefully the Saints keep it close. So I'll go
Yeah.
Seahawks as well.
Next we have Cardinals at Niners. Uh, could be an interesting one. Cardinals are an interesting team. I think that they haven't had much of an opponent yet this season, but I do think that they are a sneaky good team. The Niners are question marks because Brock Purdy obviously is injured, and I believe he's still going to be out for this game. I'm not entirely sure what his status is, if we're going to be seeing him or not, but they kept it close against the Saints last week or this past week. I'm going to go Cardinals winning this.
Yeah, my feelings was a little bit different than you on this one, which has been a theme in these picks.
Sure,
I
go
actually
for it.
think the Cardinals are going to be frauds this year. Both the games they had, they almost blew right at the end. Right, both
Yeah,
weeks they
true.
almost blew right at the end, which I think is concerning. And I think the Niners. I know Purdy, it's a big question mark. So obviously, if he doesn't play, that does kind of sway my thoughts in this game. I'm going to take the Niners regardless, because I do think the Cardinals will end up being frauds this year.
Mhm.
I just don't think they're going to be that good. I will say, like, if it was confirmed that Purdy's out, I maybe would take the Cardinals, but I will take the 49ers. What's the spread in that one? Out of
It is
curiosity.
-1.5 Niners.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna take the Niners. Obviously, Purdy makes a big difference in the game, but regardless, I'll go with the Niners on this one.
All right. Next, we have Cowboys at Bears. Uh, and honestly, man, I don't really know what to expect from either of these teams. The Bears looked awful against the Lions, and I really thought they were going to figure it out. I thought they were going to be a decent team. I'm going to go Bears winning at home against the Cowboys, though. It's a Bears 1.5, -1.5 spread. I think the Cowboys are going to be exhausted from this win. However, if it's a field goal game, the Cowboys will end up winning it because they have the greatest kicker in the world. But
Yeah,
if the Bears can really figure it out and not allow it to be a field goal game, I think the Bears are gonna win it.
and you said the Bears are favored by 1.5.
Yeah.
Surprising spread. I think I think the Bears are really, 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 really bad. Like a pitiful team. And I know we've talked a lot about that division, because of the
Yeah.
Vikings and whatnot. Yeah, I'm going Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. I'm grateful they won that. I hate to even say that, but I am grateful they won the last game. As much as it pains me in my soul to say that, I'm grateful I still have a chance to win my Survivor pool.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are just a better team. I'm actually surprised the Bears are favored. I guess they're favored because they're at home. The Cowboys are not a great team by any means, but I just do think they're the better team and they will find a way. I trust Dak Prescott more than really any player on the Bears, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as much as I hate the Cowgirls, the Cowboys, the Cow Shits, whatever you want to call them, I will take them. That awful franchise. I'll
All
take
right.
them.
All right. Going with them. All right. And then we have Sunday Night Football Chiefs at Giants. Spread is currently Chiefs -5.5. Listen, man, I can't not go with my Giants, We've seen a different team this past week, even with the loss. We saw a different team. I think if I was not a Giants fan, I would probably say Chiefs because that just makes more sense. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They're reigning Super Bowl champs from the previous year. They are the Chiefs. They're still Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on that team. But I am gonna go Giants, keeping it close and somehow finding a way to win this game.
Funny, Jaclyn, we have disagreed on a lot of the games this week. Like last week, we had more overlap. This week, I think we've been on the opposite sides of a lot of games. Right when you said that game, I had the exact same thought in my head. I think the Giants are going to find a way. Of course, there's a little bit of bias in this, but
There's a lot of
I do think Russell Wilson finds that Eli Manning and him right behind you, and the Giants find a way. The Chiefs, like I said, I think they'll figure it out, but I'm going to go Giants. I think we looked pretty good in a lot of ways, especially offensively against the Cowboys. I'm going to go Giants on the Sunday night special. I'm going to say the dogs get it done at home, man. The boys get it done at home,
first
in
home
New York.
game. First home
Yep.
game, yeah.
Yep.
But it is a crazy thing to say that the Chiefs are going to go 0-3 to start off the season. That is crazy stuff. But listen, man, football's a crazy sport and you never know what's going to happen. And maybe we just figured out this game and maybe the Giants are legit and we
Yep.
find a way to win this. But
Yep.
to end it off, we're going to go Monday Night Football. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Lions at Ravens. Ooh, spread right now is Ravens -4.5. This is going to be an interesting one because the Lions looked like their normal selves this past week against the Bears, and the Ravens obviously dominated against the Browns. This is going to be a high scoring game as it was in week 1 for the Ravens and then it was for the Lions in this past week. I'm going to say Ravens are going to find a way to win this game, but it's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game, and I know we disagreed on the Lions. I know you didn't. You thought
I
they're not
will.
going to be a good team this year. I was like, nope, they're still going to be great. I stick with it. I think they're going to be great. I think they're coming first or second in the division. I think they're still going to be a really good team. We saw how good they were. They scored over 50 this week. I know they're facing the Bears, but still over 50. They still have a great offense. I do think the Ravens are home. I think the Ravens are probably a little bit more well-rounded, but yeah, two explosive offenses. It's a fantastic game. I will go with the Ravens, which is unfortunate because I've really kind of been, as you've seen the last, today and last week, I'm really pro Lions. I kind of like
Yeah.
them, and I think they're
I
a good
like
team.
the
But
Lions, yeah.
yeah, but I just, in my soul, I feel like the Ravens are the better team, and I feel like they'll find a way. So I will go Ravens in what I agree with you, a really high-scoring game, but I think ultimately Lamar Jackson and the Ravens will find a way to get the win.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's gonna do it on our picks. That's gonna do it on today's episode. Yeah, shout out the Giants for making it fun to watch football again for us. Unfortunately, getting the loss. Exciting games coming up this week. I'm really looking forward to it. Blue Jays are rolling still. We got a big series this week still with Tampa. Lots of exciting stuff happening in the sports world. College football too. We haven't really talked about that at all, but that's been exciting. And yeah, man, that's gonna do it on today's episode. Thank you all for watching Keep It Kula Podcast. Thank you, cousin Owen, for joining me today. And I will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Jaclyn. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the episode. Thank you. Bye bye.